Starmer now says he's the guy that's going to control our borders. The same Keir Starmer that decriminalised illegal immigration, has prioritised illegals over our own good people, has thrown them into hotels and generally prioritised them for housing as well, and wanted to make sure that anyone who spoke out against illegal immigration was called far right and put in prison. But now suddenly he's all for it. He also says that those arriving in our country should speak English. Maybe he could go to Birmingham or Bradford or Luton or Leicester or any other of his voting areas and say that, because none of them will understand a bloody...
Katie nailed it. Dealing with Starmer on education is like assigning homework to a ghost. He talks endlessly about improving schools while standing by as they quietly fall apart. Switch to foreign policy and it somehow gets worse, like watching someone try to dance while obsessively reading a rulebook, endlessly invoking global norms, without ever taking a clear stand. Hopkins rolled her eyes so hard it nearly made headlines, asking whether he's the opposition leader or a travel insurance representative, a question that feels harder to answer by the day. Whenever pressure mounts, Starmer retreats behind his favorite buzzword, integrity, using it as a shield while playing the serious grown-up. But the moment he's challenged, he freezes, recycles cautious lines, and mistakes inaction for principle. Integrity isn't standing still, hiding behind process, and setting up yet another committee to look into it. And honestly, someone should probably tell him that before he schedules the next one.
Here. My director of strategy, who's a right ginger, has said that I should explain our new policy on migration very simply. So before, we loved illegals. We couldn't get enough of illegals. Illegals, come, welcome. I helped bring them in. I put them in hotels. I also love a Rwandan. I love me a stubby Rwandan. In fact, I love all illegals because they are the ones that vote for us. So if you go to any of the Labour strongholds, Luton, Leicester, Birmingham, Bradford, all you'll find is Muslims, and we can buy their vote for 20 quid. But then we got beaten by reform. So now we say, we cannot stand illegals. We are the ones that will control the border. You can trust us. We will stop.
Starmer, the man who somehow manages to look both exhausted and completely bewildered, just suffered a brutal public takedown at the hands of Katie Hopkins, who charged in like fire meeting ice and shredded his carefully polished image in seconds. Left frozen in stunned silence, he became an accidental comedy sketch, blinking, pausing, visibly trying to process what had just hit him. It was the political equivalent of opening an email expecting small talk and finding a page of advanced calculus instead. Awkward, baffled, and utterly out of his depth, Starmer stood there as the moment slipped away, perfectly capturing how quickly control can vanish when preparation collides with relentless confrontation.
The thing here, I've had a thought that fixes a lot of your problems. So, you're looking to put boots on the ground in Ukraine, specifically Kyiv. I thought, why don't you get all the people that had a Ukraine flag on their social media profile? Obviously, they had to take down their NHS one and their LGBTQ one to put up the Ukraine one. But those people, and the people who took in a Ukrainian into their homes like a little pet, just for Christmas. The people that are like, oh yeah, we've got one. Yeah, we've got a Ukrainian family. Yeah. We've got a Ukrainian family, because we're a better kind of...
For years, Starmer has tried to sell himself as a leader with real convictions rather than a focus group invention, yet the doubt never quite goes away. One moment he's presenting himself as an unlikely Brexit champion, the next he's stumbling through trade discussions like a student who forgot his homework. Every flash of confidence feels temporary, almost borrowed for the cameras, only to evaporate the second anyone pushes past the surface and asks a real question.
My name is Keir Starmer, and I'm here to fuck the foundations. When I became your Prime Minister, not only did I get new hair and glasses provided by a donor who now has full access to 10 Downing Street and my bedroom, we were promised 3 things. Number 1, we would be fully costed and fully funded. We're so fully funded and fully costed, we're essentially just like Katie Price, or HS2, or the public sector in Argentina pre-Milei, depending on your sense of humour. In order to make the £22 billion hole in the budget even worse, we have spunked a whole bunch of cash at train drivers and junior doctors. This guarantees 2.
Then Katie Hopkins steps in, loud, fearless, and unapologetic, voicing what many people are already thinking. She sizes up Starmer's stiff, awkward, over-rehearsed persona, and tears straight through it without hesitation. Every line slices past the polished performance and exposes what's underneath. A brittle, hollow version of leadership that prioritizes image over substance and collapses the moment it faces real pressure.
Starmer has been in Italy with Meloni. So you've got a left-wing, radical left-wing human rights guy over with what would be labelled as far-right Meloni in Italy. Now, I appreciate many of you will know much of this already, but it bears repeating at some level. Firstly, Meloni has been very successful at getting migrant numbers down. She's done that by, number one, hitting where they leave. So Tunisia, Egypt, Libya, she's making deals with those guys to stop the boats.
While Starmer keeps hosting press conferences that feel like long, awkward family dinners where nothing meaningful gets said, Hopkins goes straight for the jugular. She dismantles his muddled answers with ruthless precision, and this time the review isn't for a hotel, it's for the Labour Party itself. She exposes how his so-called economic vision sounds impressive but says very little, how familiar conservative policies get repackaged and sold as leadership until she lands the question that cuts through all the noise. What exactly are you leading, Keir? Because right now it feels less like serious politics and more like an accidental TV comedy.
Fair with his voice coach. I know, dog. I know. Disbelief. I mean, I think we all have some questions, don't we? Question 1. Why do guys always have affairs with people that look exactly like the wife they already had? I mean, if you've already got that wife, what's the point of having an affair with another woman who looks exactly the same as the wife that you apparently don't want? Why not pick someone, you know, super exciting, maybe with massive boobs, or a lady from another continent with an enormous bottom? I mean, just something completely different to what you've already got. Why are you still shopping in the same suit?
Every time Starmer talks about economic growth, economists across the country seem to sigh in unison, like they're being asked to explain gravity for the 100th time, because his grand plan appears to rely on the economy fixing itself out of sheer boredom. It's heavy on charts and spreadsheets but painfully light on ideas, like trying to start a car with a spoon, plenty of effort, absolutely no movement. And when immigration comes up, he treats it like an unsolvable riddle, twisting himself into knots trying to please everyone and ending up satisfying no one. His position is so bland it makes plain porridge look exciting, which is exactly why Hopkins didn't hesitate to twist the knife, asking whether his big solution was simply installing revolving doors at the border, so at least the confusion could move efficiently.
Starmer says he's going to have a peace talk for Ukraine. Peace talks for Ukraine. Oh, yes, I'm going to have peace talks. Yeah, so what did you do for the last 3 years? Oh, yeah, bugger all. And now Trump's coming to fix the problem, and you want some of his success? Please, you're like a tick on a bloody dog. The last time the EU leaders were together, they took their jackets off in solidarity with Zelensky. Oh, do you think he'll take me up the... We've never seen anything this gay since the last time.
You can't miss how painfully over-rehearsed his speeches are. Every appearance feels like watching Siri glitch through a news bulletin, as if Starmer spent hours practicing in front of a mirror only to apologize afterward for wasting everyone's time. His charisma sits somewhere between a dead battery and an interrupted sneeze. Katie Hopkins clocked it instantly, swooping in like a theater critic reviewing a painfully slow one-man show, skewering him in real time by asking why he keeps confusing caution for leadership and why, "we'll look into it," has become his emotional support phrase. When he pivoted to law and order, it didn't help. The tough talk rang hollow against a record flimsier than the slogans propping it up, prompting Hopkins to drop the politeness and go straight for the jugular. If Starmer really is the man of safety and control he claims to be, where's the proof? Because so far he's delivered little more than empty promises that increasingly resemble abandoned New Year gym memberships.
I think Starmer has seen Angela's Furburger. Oh no, I believe, personally, my personal opinion is that Keir Starmer's gay. He seems gay to me. My gaydar goes off, but in a bad way, not a good gay, like a gay, like a Macron gay, a Trudeau gay, shady little bastard gay. So I would say Keir Starmer's gay. Yeah, that would be my personal opinion. And undoubtedly what will happen now is Channel 4 News, as happened this week, will be given advance warning in order to come with the West Midlands police force, because they're big supporters of mine.
And then there's his latest promise to deliver for working people, which is rich coming from a man who looks like he'd assume Working People was a new Netflix series. His version of relatability seems to peak at eating a sausage roll and calling it field research, a stunt Hopkins skewered perfectly, comparing it to pretending you're a mechanic after watching one YouTube tutorial. His leadership is so risk-averse it might as well be cryogenically frozen. When real crises hit, NHS strikes, rail chaos, climate pressure, he doesn't lead, he vanishes, hoping the storm will pass while the votes stay put. That strategy might scrape by at a village bake sale, but it collapses in national politics. And as Hopkins ruthlessly exposed, his entire campaign depends on standing still long enough for inertia to be mistaken for depth, while voters increasingly recognize what it really is: fear dressed up as caution, confusion sold as pragmatism, and a glaring lack of charisma trying desperately to pass as seriousness.
Or, as many of you are fully aware, those who control the movement of human flesh, a slave trade unlike anything ever seen before in the past, are the leaders of the major religions, the leaders of political dynasties, and the banking scions, and the global leadership.
Then there are his environmental promises, quietly shrinking the moment a wealthy voter so much as raises an eyebrow. Net zero by 2050, apparently, but only if it doesn't inconvenience drivers, upset donors, or trigger even mild pushback. Starmer wants to save the planet on the strict condition that nobody complains. Hopkins skewered this perfectly, calling it pure window dressing, like hanging fairy lights on a sinking ship, tossing his green rhetoric straight in the bin. You can almost picture him trimming chunks off the climate budget mid-sentence. Education fares no better. He drones on about opportunity for all without ever explaining what that actually means, leaving the unmistakable impression of more exams, fewer teachers, cheaper resources, and a system where students, parents, and teachers all share one thing in common: total confusion.
Go stop the boats. The deals are, if you stop the boats, we're going to invest in you. So investments in trade, investments in deals, in infrastructure or whatever. So she's funding development of those countries in order for them to work with her and stop the damn boats. And she's done brilliantly well. Numbers are down by about 65%, which, you know, historically when I was there on the shores of southern Italy was an absolute flood. The other thing she's done in a two-pronged attack is to offshore migrants. So if they arrive from a safe country, they are immediately offshored in Albania. She's moved.
Then there are his environmental promises, quietly shrinking the moment a wealthy voter so much as raises an eyebrow. Net zero by 2050, apparently, but only if it doesn't inconvenience drivers, upset donors, or trigger even mild pushback. Starmer wants to save the planet on the strict condition that nobody complains. Hopkins skewered this perfectly, calling it pure window dressing, like hanging fairy lights on a sinking ship, tossing his green rhetoric straight in the bin. You can almost picture him trimming chunks off the climate budget mid-sentence. Education fares no better. He drones on about opportunity for all without ever explaining what that actually means, leaving the unmistakable impression of more exams, fewer teachers, cheaper resources, and a system where students, parents, and teachers all share one thing in common: total confusion.